Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of News You Can Use. I'm your host, Brandon Gomez, and we have a lot of big stories to get to that are national and international, including the fact that Canada needs to address its racist past. Also, the decision that is going to drive up internet costs across this country, we'll tell you about it. And the biggest celebrities are now standing behind Naomi Osaka. We'll give you the details. And big news for Black Canadian talent. Oh yeah, the Black Academy has done something that has never been done in this country. But before we get to those details, can we do the homework? Like, subscribe to this channel, please. Can you also hit that notification bell? And make sure to follow us on all of our social media. All right, let's get serious. We talked about it. Canada needs to address its racist past. The country is in mourning. Indigenous people are in mourning. They've been in mourning. So what is the next course of action? As we know, the remains of 215 Indigenous children were found at a grave site, a burial site, at a residential school in Kamloops, BC. Now, people are wondering, how is this country going to address that? Well, here's what we know, just in case you don't know about residential schools. It was a tool used by the Canadian government in the past to commit cultural genocide against Indigenous peoples. So let's talk about the effects of that, and what are Indigenous people calling for? Eva, we've been researching this story. What have you found?
So the Indigenous groups in Canada are calling for a nationwide search for unmarked graves at residential school sites all across Canada. So this is telling us that there are a lot more of them to discover. Now we have to take into the fact that many of them are unaccounted for and they're undocumented. So we don't know how many actually went home and how many are still there. Also, First Nations Health Authority, FNHA, has said that this situation exists is sadly not a surprise and illustrates the damaging and lasting impacts that the residential school system continues to have on First Nations people, their families, and communities.
Mm-hmm. And this is why so many leaders have been talking about the Truth and Reconciliation report, but not much progress has been made there. So let's see what our leaders have said, starting with the Prime Minister of Canada. Look at your screen right now, because Justin Trudeau has written this: "The news that remains were found at the former Kamloops residential school breaks my heart. It is a painful reminder of that dark and shameful chapter of our country's history. I am thinking about everyone affected by this distressing news. We are here for you." We also know that NDP leader Jagmeet Singh had an emotional day on Monday when he was asked about this. He has called for an emergency debate in the House of Commons to try to figure out what actions political leaders should take, what this country should take to address this issue. And we're also seeing actions taken in cities across this country, including in Charlottetown, PEI, where City Council there voted to remove a statue of Canada's first Prime Minister, Sir John A. Macdonald, from the downtown intersection after the heartbreaking news came about of what transpired in Kamloops, BC. But the real question is this enough?
No, it's not enough.
I think it's interesting to see like how people are going about, Justin Trudeau said this is unfortunate, but really hasn't taken steps. Well, Jagmeet has said, okay, this is what we're going to do about it. So it's interesting to see the next week what people and the politicians decide to make as the next steps.
What are your thoughts, Kelly?
It's just unfortunate that a lot of these things are going to be reactionary. Like, realistically, the last residential school closed in 1996. I was born in 1997. So a lot of these people who went to these schools and survived this environment are living with that trauma, right? Like, this is generational trauma that's being passed down. Like, people may not have went home. People don't know their culture. Like, all of these things that the government's doing and is trying to fix this, like, you can't fix that. You need to acknowledge that, and you need to give them funding, and you need to give them resources and acknowledge all of the trauma that Canada inflicted on this group, because they're living with it, right? And they have to live with that forever. Like, you can't unsee what you saw. You can't unlive that. And all of these actions that are going to happen and everything that's going to come out from it is reactionary.
There's so many ripple effects.
Yeah.
It's so many ripple effects. More than 200 bodies for them to acknowledge it.
So we want to hear what you guys have to say. Like, what action do you want government to take? Drop that in the comment section right now. All right, can we talk about this other news that's happening that a lot of people don't know about? Internet prices across this country are about to rise. Like, how much do you guys pay for internet? Do you guys know?
Yeah, my brother pays like $150.
Jeez.
But he's like a gamer, right? Like, you know, like you want the good internet. But like, babe, I'm not paying $150 for internet. Like, I'm not. Like, internet is crazy. And it's like, we all work from home. You would think that the government in a pandemic would subsidize it, but here we are.
You know what? It's a really, really good thought there. And one of the reasons why internet prices are set to increase across this country is because of a decision that came from Canada's telecom regulator, the Canadian, the CRTC. And essentially what happened, okay, let me break it down for you in simple terms. You know, the lines, right, those power lines that carry, you know, basically the capability to have internet or phone service to your homes, which are owned by the big companies like Bell and Telus and Rogers. Well, smaller companies don't have that capacity to build those lines. It's also not efficient to do that. So what do? The government has allowed them to basically rent out, right? Pay rent to some of those bigger companies to use those lines to provide service. Companies like Tech Savvy. Well, those prices that are charged, it's regulated by the government. And what the government decided was basically to reverse a decision to cut those prices. So now those prices are going back up. So let's get an even better explanation. I want to bring in Andy Kaplan, who's a telecom lawyer. Andy Kaplan-Murth, thank you so much for joining us here on News You Can Use. I just want to get into this. Can you first explain to us, what are wholesale prices? How does that differentiate from the prices that customers pay at the store or on their bill?
So this is specifically for internet, home internet service. That's what this is about. Companies can charge kind of whatever they want, whatever the market will sustain. Government doesn't set prices for the market. There's specifically this category of competitors, small independent competitors like Tech Savvy, who buy wholesale services from the big companies who mostly build the networks. Those are the wholesale rates that the government sets.
So who are the winners and who are the losers with this CRTC decision?
This decision is very stark. The winners here are Bell and Rogers mostly, and also all of the other large providers, Shaw, Telus, Videotron, and others. The losers ultimately are consumers. In the middle, the losers are going to be companies like competitors, like Tech Savvy, unless we are able to overturn it in some way.
Wow. So how will this affect Canadians?
I would expect internet prices to rise, probably immediately if you are with some small providers. So some providers have already announced that they're going to increase price.
Andy, thanks so much for that explanation, and thanks for joining us on News You Can Use.
It's my pleasure. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you, Andy, for joining us here on News You Can Use. Listen, that was interesting, and I wonder how people are feeling about this. Like, let us know, like, how much do you pay for your internet, and are you upset with this? Drop your thoughts in the comment section right now. We also want to hear what you guys think about what's been happening with Naomi Osaka, because it just came out that the world's best tennis player ever, some would say the greatest athlete of all time, Serena Williams, is standing by Naomi's decision to withdraw from the French Open, basically because she didn't want to do any more press conferences in order to protect and in support of her own mental health. This all happened after she was fined $15,000 for skipping a press conference. Then on Monday, she released a social media post saying that she's suffering and dealing with depression and social anxiety, and that speaking with the media, it makes her anxious. So Eva, talk to us about some of the responses from some of these big name celebrities.
Yeah, she got a lot of celebrities responding and showing support. Also some big sport athletes like Usain Bolt and Kyrie Irving. And like you said, Serena Williams also commented on it. And she said, she didn't comment on the post, but she did comment on the situation and said, the only thing I feel is that I feel for Naomi. I feel like I wish I could give her a hug because I know what it's like. Like I said, I've been in this position. So a lot of people are coming out and saying, I understand where you're coming from. And it's a big conflict going on between the media now, sports in general, and then athletes.
It's interesting. Listen, at the end of the day, you know, Naomi, she is on top of the game. And I kind of feel like what Naomi says, Naomi deserves to get.
For sure.
I'm just going to be honest. right? Like mental health is a reality. The pandemic has been real. We just talked about that on the BG show this past Sunday. So people need to respect people's space. And maybe the question is like, should the media be more respectful of these players' mental health? What do you guys think right now? Drop that in the comment section. All right, can we cheer things up a little bit? Can we talk about some good news? Can we talk about the black talent that's out there in Canada? I mean,
We have some. We have some.
Where?
We do, all in this room. We got 2 Brandons in here, black talent.
so listen to this. The first ever Canadian award show dedicated to celebrating black talent has been picked up by Canada's public broadcaster, the CBC. So listen to this. This is being put on by the Black Academy, which was founded by, Scarborough Mans, you may know them, Shamir Anderson and his brother Stefan James, 2 big actors that are making waves in Hollywood right now. Now, Eva, what is this production gonna mean? Tell us.
So the live production by the Black Academy will honor Black achievement in film, television, music, sports, and culture next fall in Toronto as part of a 3-year contract with CBC. So this is big.
This is big, and they ain't going nowhere. So shout out to Shamir and Stefan for doing the hard work. Hopefully they'll have us on the black carpet.
That would actually be really good. That'd be really good.
All
I'm
right,
excited.
all right. I'm excited too. Hey, listen, that's your news you can use for today. Remember, we drop news you can use every Tuesday and Friday. And if you have any news story, email us, news@brandongonezshow.com. And don't forget, if you haven't watched the latest episode of the BG Show, go watch that right now. In the meantime, subscribe to this channel, hit that notification bell, and follow us on our socials, and we'll see you on Friday.
Bye.